Hi everybody, today we're going to be talking about my file copy comic. What the is a file copy? Hi everybody, it's Peter here, your Ginger Jolly Geek. Welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time, please do consider liking and subscribing and having a little look at my back catalogue. Do all kinds of comic related stuff and toys and live shows and all that kind of jazz. Okay, so what are we here to talk about today? We're here to talk a little bit about a Stanley file copy. Now, if you're anything like me, you'll not have a clue what that is, because I didn't know what it was when I bought it. I'm a massive Stanley fan. I think the guy is an absolute genius. And regardless of what you think, your personal views, whether he created, didn't create, the artist creates, all that kind of jazz, to me it doesn't matter. Stanley is the face of Marvel Comics. He has been and will always be one of the main architects and creators of the universe I love and adore. So I've always had a desire to have Stanley signed items in my collection. I'm absolutely devastated I never got to meet the man himself. I would have loved that. I would have loved to have had something personally signed by him. But instead, I've had to kind of make peace with myself and know that I've just got a number of items that he's had in contact with him or signed. This came up a little while ago. This is something called a Stanley file copy. Now, I'd never heard of a Stanley file copy. And at the time, this was pre-Stanley's death. And this was pretty cheap for a Stanley signature. So all I really saw was a signature and a nice signature placement. So I bought it without really understanding and knowing what a Stanley file copy is. So let's delve a little bit deeper into a file copy and what it means. So as said, for a lot of people, a Stanley signature is probably something they would love in their collection. And luckily, Stan the man did an awful lot of signing events. He was very prominent at conventions and the like. Now, it's a fact that sadly after his death, the price of some of these signatures skyrocketed. But good news is, if you really do want a signature, he signed a lot of stuff. So Stan signed in a massive amount of comic books, and he also signed some bloody bizarre stuff. Basically, the guy, to be fair, would sign whatever was put in front of him, which for collectors is pretty cool because you can get an array of different items, including body parts if you're into that kind of stuff. So yeah, like I say, Stan would sign anything that came across his way, including some very strange and unique items, including books he wasn't involved with. Anyway, to have a signature kind of makes you feel like you've had some kind of contact with Stan the man, and that moves on to file copies. What is an actual file copy? Well, a file copy became necessary, I guess, as the writing started to become more and more complicated and continuity began to kind of take part in the Marvel universe. And this is the same for any kind of written work. It basically becomes a book of reference in a library of books, so the writer can call back on these issues and make sure that the story they're telling is in keeping with past issues and past stories. Now, Stan had his own personal file copy, a library of books that he used to refer back to and use as reference material. Now, around 2002, Stan was in need of some cash, so he decided to sell his personal file copies to Heritage Auctions, who put them in CGC slabs and sent them on the way to collectors. Bit of controversy about this. Some people disagree. Some people say that these weren't real file copies. Go check out the CGC boards for some information on that. Now, the copies were quite interesting. None of them were particularly big name key books. And there were a variety of titles. They came in two different flavours. You could get your standard blue slabbed copy, which was just a file copy, or you could get your yellow slabbed copy, which had been signed by the man himself. So, in essence, what is a file copy? A file copy is a comic book that was used by Stan Lee as a reference material within his own library. So in theory, this book could have been thumbed through by Stan the man on multiple occasions. So there we have it, ladies and gents. This is my Stanley file copy Silver Surfer book with a beautiful placed signature, as you can see. I'm over the moon to have this in my collection. The fact that it's a one-of-a-kind item makes it incredibly unique. There is no other file copy of this issue with that signature. This is the book that Stan Lee handled himself and had in his own personal collection. And for me, that makes the item priceless. Now, speaking of price, because it's a one-of-a-kind item, it makes it very, very challenging to try and put any kind of value on this. I know what I paid for it a few years ago, and it was peanuts for a Stan Lee book. I've got no idea what the value of this kind of thing would be now. If you think you could work out the value of it, or if you've got a rough estimate or a guess for this one-of-a-kind book, please drop it in the comments because I'd be interested to know. Not that I'm ever going to sell this. This is mine. This is with me for the end of days. to say that I've got something in hand that Stanley, had in his personal collection and, potentially flipped through as his reference material makes me very happy. I'm interested to know if anybody else out there has got any Stanley file copies or file copies in general, or if you know more about them than I do. Please do drop a line in the comments section and let us know all about you. Okay, thank you very much for watching, everybody. That's your whack, and I'll catch you next time. Take care.